I've just been stopped by a Russian military official and told not to film in front of the building, so let's move away.
The separatist region of Transnistria is a narrow strip of land between the Dniester River and the Ukrainian border, which broke away from Moldova in 1990. The world does not recognize its self-declared statehood, and the government is a puppet of Moscow, which remains in a standoff with Moldova and is economically, politically, and militarily supported by Russia. This is Transnistria.
Привет from Tiraspol and Transnistria. Transnistria, where do we even begin? There are only a few places in the world, maybe 2 or 3, that would find it acceptable to have a statue of Lenin proudly displayed in front of the former headquarters of the Soviet Supreme. Let's take a look around town and find out why that is. I've just been stopped by a Russian military official and told not to film in front of the building, so let's move away. Well, anyways, now that we're getting further away from the military official, Transnistria isn't known for its tourism. That's partially why. Transnistria is a country that doesn't exist. According to everyone in the entire world, Transnistria is a breakaway region and has been since 1990 when they started a war with their counterparts in Moldova. This dates back all the way to 1940 when the Soviets formed the autonomous region of Moldova, attempting to influence the Romanians to give up the actual country and area that is now Moldova. In the early 1990s, when the Soviet Union was starting to collapse and Moldova declared its independence, this autonomous region that was started all the way back in 1940, much before the entire Soviet state of Moldova was created, decided that they wanted no part. They wanted to stay in the Soviet Union with the Russians. And thus began a long, turbulent history and time for Transnistria and its people.
Let's start our journey together in this country that isn't a country.
Welcome to Bender, one of the cities inside of the Transnistrian Republic. Right here we have found an abandoned Soviet amusement park. The gate is wide open. That makes it quite easy. Wow. Phenomenal. See behind me, they have Ferris wheel. Another ride that looks like it hasn't been open in ages. And the ticket booth. You can just imagine others coming here to enjoy a night, but now it's just in ruins. How unfortunate.
Places like this are desolate all over Transnistria due to a 15% decline in population every decade, with its citizens preferring to go to Moldova, Europe, or Russia for better economic opportunities and stability.
Let's take a look up here, see what all it entails. Definitely don't think I'd be wanting to ride on one of these. You have the old ticket booth and operations. Wow. This is just the beginning as we traverse across Transnistria or Pridnestrovье. Come along with me on the journey that everyone says is too dangerous to make. Don't go to Transnistria. Let's show that you can actually do it. In the early 1990s, when it was apparent that Moldova did not want to be a part of the Soviet Union any longer, Transnistria, as English speakers know it, or Pridnestrovье, began to seek independence on their own. They became a separate state known as Transnistria, and shortly thereafter, there was a Moldovan-Transnistrian War. This memorial is to pay tribute to all of the Moldovans and Transnistrians that were lost in the unfortunate conflict.
Over 1,500 so-called Russian peacekeepers exist in Transnistria, and the military of Transnistria is propped up completely by Russia.
Right now I'm in Lenin Square in Bender, in front of the administration building. Behind me is something really really interesting. You see this building, it has holes in it. And that's because this building had Kalashnikov bullets in it from the war between Transnistria and Moldova upon the separation in the fall of the Soviet Union. All sides of the building have been restored except this one.
You can find remnants of this war all over Transnistria.
Here we have something very interesting, a relic of the Soviet times. They're posting outstanding citizens on a wall with their photo, thanking them for their service to the community. For instance, Elena Gorokhova, a math teacher in the city, or also Nina Dirks, an engineer or librarian, yes, librarian, used to find these walls paying tribute to people all over the Soviet Union in each town. Heroes of the war, heroes of the town, such as librarians. A really interesting way to pay tribute to the citizens. It's really cool that they still are doing it here. Behind me, you can see these giant silos. During the times of the Soviet Union, this was used to store grain, and it was exported all across the Soviet Union to provide grain for everyone. And these closed upon the Soviets' collapse because there was not a need to store such vast amounts of grain with only 450,000 people living in Transnistria. You will find all around Transnistria that such things have happened, that they had giant stores, giant economy, and now it's just basically on the brink of collapse. I'm currently in the Sharif grocery store. What you need to know is the Sharif Corporation bought almost all of the industry in Transnistria when the Soviet Union collapsed. Still to this day, they own many, many, many companies. It's a corporation initially made of Russians and now it's transferred more to Moldovans and Transnistrians. But let's take a look around the grocery store and see what they have.
I was shocked to see the vast array of goods that this grocery store had. I was thinking with a breakaway region, they would struggle to get goods, but not the case.
This grocery store has absolutely everything that you could possibly want. I'm not sure how expensive it is. Let's take a closer look, but definitely not struggling for items that they need.
A drink and snack cost me $3, which is pretty normal.
Something you absolutely have to do if you are coming to Transnistria is get some of their currency. They're literal plastic coins, but you can actually buy something at the stores with them, only here in Transnistria, of course. But it's almost like child's money. It's so interesting. And they also have bills. A unique fact about this is while the front looks normal, this is a public building, a cognac factory, and it is a privatized company. It is the only currency in the world that has a privatized company on a national currency, and that kind of tells you all you need to know about Transnistria, the corruption and the issues that they have had since the collapse of the Soviet Union and privatization, and what a big role it now plays in the country. Now, in every former Soviet country you go to, you will not find any squares named after Lenin anymore. You won't find any statues, but here in Transnistria, you will. This square is named Lenin Square. Lenin caused a lot of suffering for a lot of people, and thus Central Asian countries and other former Soviet republics, they don't want to remember that past. But here, it is still quite normal. Feeling a bit hungry? Let's go to a traditional Soviet restaurant in the heart of Bender in Transnistria. Here you have all of the former symbols of all of the countries that were involved in the Soviet Union. If you look right here, this was the sign of Moldova in the USSR. Здравствуйте. Я хочу пюре и зама. Немного. Спасибо. We have got some puree, which is mashed potatoes, a meat patty, and some traditional Moldovan. I was not expecting the mashed potatoes to be cold. Cold? Yeah. What's cool about this restaurant is that you think it's built for foreigners, but there are barely any foreigners here, so all the locals come and eat. It's a great price. Okay, let's head to Tiraspol. Let's go.
Tiraspol is the capital of Transnistria. Up until now, we have been in Bender, so let's head to Tiraspol and see what we can find.
The housing here has not changed since the Soviet times whatsoever. You still have the metal playground equipment and the Soviet blocks. Here we have quite an interesting tribute to Yuri Gagarin, the first man on space, overlooking America to kind of make fun of the United States that they were second in the race. We have the opera ballet behind me. You can see there's still active shows here. Life is just like normal here, just as it was in the Soviet Union. We're heading over to the University Square now. Unfortunately for the students, this university is only valid in Russia. It's the only place that they can work other than Transnistria that values the degree that they're earning. There's another statue of Lenin over here. This has to be the highest rate of Lenin statues still standing in the world.
Behind Russia itself, Transnistria has the most Lenin statues still standing.
And look what I have found. What an odd thing to be here. I have absolutely no idea what it's doing here, but I swear that this is Harry Potter. Who would have thought Harry Potter in Transnistria? What an odd finding, probably in tribute to all of the Lenin statues that should be taken down. We are now heading to the City Hall, which you can kind of see behind me. This is Stalin architecture, made in the 50s, with another bust of Lenin in front. They really apparently liked Lenin here, or at least they're not ashamed enough to take the statues down. Overall, I'd say that Transnistria is generally safe. Not everyone should come here. It's definitely a place for adventure travelers, but there's not a time today that I have felt unsafe. Well, I believe that this is the end of our adventure for today. I hope that this video gave you an idea of what Transnistria is, why it's here, and that it's not quite as unsafe as people say it is to come to. Do svidaniya for now, until the next adventure. See you later. One more adventure to go on. I just had my driver pull off on the side of the road. I saw something really cool I'm going to show you guys. This is a bunker that they had all over the Soviet Union during World War II in case of any emergencies or bombs or nuclear warfare that was going to be used. The entrance must be somewhere else. Can't get inside of it, but still a really cool piece of history to see. Amazing.